Hey everyone, and welcome back to the GCO podcast. Today we're going to dive deep into something I think is super relevant for all you construction enthusiasts out there.
Oh, definitely.
Specifically, anyone who's ever looked at a concrete structure and kind of wondered how do they make that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
We're talking about the Concrete Placement Inspector course.
Yes.
Offered by GCO Academy.
Right?
Yeah.
This is a brand new course from GCO Academy.
Oh, wow.
In the UK, but it's designed to help you level up your construction career no matter where you are in the world.
That's awesome. And the best part is it's fully online and live, meaning you can learn from anywhere on your own schedule.
Exactly.
So no more cramming into stuffy classrooms or trying to juggle work and study.
Yeah, it's really all about giving you that practical knowledge in concrete inspection and placement.
Nice.
Think of it as your toolkit for ensuring quality, safety, and compliance with international standards on any construction project involving concrete.
Okay, I'm already intrigued. So what makes this CPI course so unique? There are a lot of construction courses out there. What sets this one apart?
Well, one of the biggest things is the global recognition you'll receive with a CPI certificate from GCO Academy.
Okay.
It's not just a piece of paper. It tells employers worldwide that you have the specialized knowledge to handle concrete inspection.
Right.
Which is a huge asset in today's construction world.
That's a great point. And I see here that your name even gets listed on gcoportal.com as a certified concrete inspector.
That's right.
Talk about standing out from the crowd.
Exactly. It's a fantastic way to boost your credibility and open doors to new opportunities.
Awesome.
And on top of that, you'll also be joining a global network of professionals.
Oh, wow.
Imagine the connections and collaborations that could come from that.
Yeah, that's what I love about specialized courses like this. It's not just about the knowledge. It's about becoming part of a community.
Right.
Okay, so we know this CPI course is globally recognized, but let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What will you actually learn in this course?
Yeah.
What kind of skills are we talking about?
Well, think of it this way. The course aims to turn you into a concrete expert.
Okay.
Someone who can confidently walk onto a site and know exactly what to look for when it comes to concrete placement and inspection.
Okay, so it's not just about pouring concrete. It's about understanding every stage of the process to ensure a safe and high-quality structure.
Precisely.
Nice.
The course is structured around 6 key goals.
Okay.
And it starts with giving you a deep understanding of concrete itself. Everything from its properties to the materials that go into it.
Okay.
You'll learn about different types of cement aggregates, admixtures, and how each component impacts the final product.
That sounds like a great foundation. I'm guessing it goes beyond just the theory, though.
Absolutely.
Okay.
From there, we move into inspection proficiency. You'll master the techniques for conducting thorough inspections at each stage of concrete placement, learning how to use specific tools and interpret test results like a pro.
So you'll be able to look at a batch of concrete and know right away if it meets the standards.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
You'll also be able to analyze test results
Okay.
and make informed decisions about the concrete based on your findings. Think of it like becoming a concrete detective.
Uh-huh. I like that.
You'll learn how to identify potential issues, diagnose problems, and recommend solutions.
I can see how valuable that would be on any construction site. Speaking of which, who exactly is this course perfect for? Who should be rushing to sign up?
Well, this course is ideal for anyone who is deeply involved in the concrete side of construction.
Okay.
We're talking project managers, site supervisors, quality control personnel,
Gotcha.
and anyone responsible for ensuring the structural integrity of concrete structures.
I can also see this being incredibly valuable for BSc students in civil or construction engineering, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like getting a head start in the field even before graduation.
Yeah, and to participate, you'll need a bachelor's or master's degree in a relevant field, or you need to be a current student who's already taken specific courses,
Okay.
like concrete technology, a concrete lab, and construction materials and methods. So it's perfect for students who want to specialize in concrete and hit the ground running in their careers.
Okay, so we've got experienced professionals and ambitious students, a great mix. Now let's talk logistics. What's the course structure like? How much of a time commitment are we looking at?
So the course is broken down into 6 modules delivered online once a week, with each session lasting 6 hours. So it's manageable, even if you're working full-time or have other commitments.
6 hours a week, that's like a good movie marathon.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But instead of getting lost in a fictional world, you're gaining knowledge that can build your career. Speaking of building, what are some of the module topics that really stand out to you? What's the stuff that makes you go, wow, I never knew that?
Well, in Module 1, we cover the different types of cement and how they impact a project. There's a surprising amount of variety out there,
Oh, interesting.
and each type has its own specific use and characteristics.
That's fascinating. It's those little details that you wouldn't necessarily think about, but that can make a huge difference in the final product. What else?
In Module 2, things get a bit more intense. We delve into chemical attacks on concrete,
Chemical attacks. Okay, that sounds a bit scary, but I have to know more.
like sulfate attacks, chloride attacks, carbonation,
Oh.
all these insidious processes that can weaken the concrete over time.
So it's like concrete's worst nightmare. I can see why understanding those attacks would be crucial for an inspector. You'd want to be able to spot the signs early on.
Exactly. And then in Module 4, we get into interpreting test results for things like cement fineness and aggregate abrasion.
Okay, I admit that sounds a little technical,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing it's crucial for ensuring the quality and strength of the concrete.
It absolutely is. By understanding these test results, you can make informed decisions about whether the concrete meets the required standards for the project. It's like having a secret decoder ring for concrete.
I love that analogy. It's about decoding the mysteries of concrete and becoming a true expert in the field.
Exactly. And then there's Module 5. This one covers the different concrete placement methods. We're talking everything from the traditional manual placement to more advanced techniques like pumping and even shotcrete.
Hold on, you mentioned shotcrete earlier, but I still don't quite get it. What is that exactly?
Imagine spraying concrete onto a surface at high speed. That's basically what shotcrete is.
Yeah, okay.
It's used in situations where traditional casting might not be possible. Think tunnels, swimming pools, or even stabilizing slopes.
Wow, that sounds pretty high tech. So it's like a super-powered concrete application method.
You could say that. It's a fascinating technique that opens up a lot of possibilities in construction.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued by all of this. For our listeners who are ready to take the leap, what do they need to do?
It's simple. Just head over to GCOPortal.com/Academy to register and secure your spot.
All right, that's GACCoportal.com/Academy. Don't miss out on this opportunity to become a certified concrete expert. We've covered a lot of ground here, but I think it's safe to say that this CPI course is a game changer for anyone who wants to level up their construction career.
Absolutely. It's a valuable investment in your future.
So before we dive into more module details in part 2, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. Imagine being able to walk onto a construction site with the confidence and knowledge to ensure the quality and safety of every concrete structure.
Yeah.
That's the power of the CPI course.
It's about becoming a leader in your field and having a real impact on the built environment around us.
Well said. We'll be back soon with part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll explore even more fascinating details about the CPI course. Don't go anywhere.
See ya then. Welcome back to part 2 of our deep dive into the Concrete Placement Inspector course. We left off talking about some of the more intriguing module topics like chemical attacks and those super high-tech placement methods.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about that shotcrete thing.
Ugh.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's rewind a bit and talk about Module 1,
Okay.
which I believe covers the different types of cement.
Yes.
I have to admit, cement isn't exactly the most exciting topic at first glance, but
Yeah.
you mentioned there's actually a lot of variety out there.
There is. And understanding the nuances of each type is crucial for an inspector.
Right.
In Module 1, we really break down the composition and production of cement. We talk about everything from the raw materials to the manufacturing process.
Okay.
Then we dive into the different types of cement commonly used in construction.
Okay, so what kind of cement families are we talking about here?
Well, the most common one you'll encounter is Portland cement.
Okay.
It's like the workhorse of the concrete world.
Gotcha.
But then you have blended cements, which combine Portland cement with other materials to enhance specific properties like strength or durability.
So it's like customizing the cement for different applications.
Exactly. And then there are specialty cements designed for very specific situations, like high early strength cement for projects with tight deadlines,
Oh.
or sulfate-resisting cement for environments with high sulfate content in the soil or water.
That makes sense. It's like having a whole toolbox of cement options to choose from depending on the project's needs.
Precisely. And it's not just about knowing the different types.
Right.
We also discuss the hydration process,
Okay.
how cement reacts with water to harden and gain strength. Understanding this process is crucial for ensuring proper curing and achieving the desired concrete properties.
So it's about more than just mixing ingredients together. There's a whole chemical reaction happening within the concrete that determines its final strength and durability.
Exactly. And we cover that in detail along with the factors that can affect the hydration process,
Right.
like temperature and moisture. We also discuss the standard tests used to evaluate cement quality, so you'll know how to check if the cement you're using is up to par.
Okay, so cement is covered. What about the other key ingredient, water? What can participants expect to learn about that in the course?
Believe it or not, water quality plays a huge role in the strength and durability of concrete.
Ah.
In Module 1, we explore the different sources of water used in concrete production, from municipal supplies to well water.
Okay.
We also discuss the quality requirements that must be met,
Right.
like the presence of impurities or contaminants that could affect the concrete's performance.
Wow. I never realized water quality could be such a critical factor.
It definitely is. We even cover the standard tests for water quality and provide practical guidance on how to inspect it effectively on a construction site.
Okay, so we've got cement and water covered. What about the third musketeer, aggregates?
Yes.
That's the sand and gravel part of the mix, right?
That's right. Aggregates make up the bulk of the concrete mix, and they play a vital role in its strength and stability.
Okay.
In Module 1, we cover the different types of aggregate, including their shape, size, and grading. We also talk about the importance of using the right type of aggregate for the specific application.
So it's not just any old sand and gravel that will do.
Definitely not. You need to consider factors like strength, durability, and even the aesthetic requirements of the project.
That's right.
We also discuss the standard tests used to evaluate aggregate quality,
Yep.
like sieve analysis to determine particle size distribution, and the Los Angeles abrasion test to assess the aggregate's resistance to wear and tear.
Wow. There's a lot more to aggregates than meets the eye.
There is. And remember, as an inspector, you need to know how to properly assess the quality of all the materials going into the concrete mix.
Right.
Okay, so we've covered cement, water, and aggregates, the basic building blocks of concrete.
Yeah.
What's next in the curriculum? Then we move on to admixtures in Module 1.4.
Admixtures. Now, those sound interesting.
Yeah.
You mentioned them briefly in Part 1, but I'm still a little fuzzy on what they are and why they're important.
Think of admixtures as the secret sauce of concrete. They're chemicals that are added to the mix to modify its properties in specific ways.
Oh, interesting.
For instance, some admixtures can improve workability, making the concrete easier to place and finish.
So they're like performance enhancers for concrete.
Exactly. Some admixtures can accelerate or retard setting time, which can be helpful in different situations. Others can enhance durability, making the concrete more resistant to freezing and thawing or chemical attacks.
I see. So they're kind of like problem solvers for concrete.
Precisely. We cover a wide range of admixtures in the course,
Okay.
including air and training agents, water reducers, retarders, accelerators, and even pigments to change the color of the concrete.
Wow, that's quite a list. It sounds like admixtures can really fine-tune the properties of concrete to meet specific project requirements.
They can, and understanding how to identify, evaluate, and inspect admixtures is crucial for an inspector. You need to know what to look for, how they might affect the concrete's performance, and whether they're being used correctly.
Okay, that wraps up Module 1, which seems like a really comprehensive introduction to the world of concrete and its components.
It is.
What about Module 2? You mentioned some pretty intense topics like chemical attacks.
Yes. Module 2 delves into some of the potential challenges that can arise with concrete,
Okay.
both during and after placement. We start by looking at concrete mix design,
Okay.
which is the process of determining the right proportions of cement water aggregates and admixtures to achieve the desired properties.
I imagine getting the mix design right is crucial for the success of any concrete project.
Absolutely. It's like baking a cake. If you don't have the right proportions of ingredients, the cake won't turn out right.
Right.
The same goes for concrete. We discuss different misting methods,
Okay.
the importance of the water-cement ratio, and how to ensure the concrete is properly transported and placed without compromising its quality.
So it's not just about throwing everything together in a mixer. There's a science to it.
Absolutely. We also discuss the importance of controlling the temperature of the concrete during mixing placement and curing.
Go ahead.
Temperature fluctuations can have a significant impact on the final product.
That makes sense. Concrete seems a lot more sensitive than I realized.
It is. And then we move into some of the specific challenges that can arise, like shrinkage, bleeding, segregation, and workability.
Okay, hold on. I know shrinkage is when concrete shrinks as it dries.
Right.
But what are bleeding and segregation? Those sound a bit ominous.
Bleeding is when excess water in the concrete mix rises to the surface, creating a weak, watery layer on top.
Oh.
Segregation is when the different components of the mix separate, resulting in an uneven and potentially weak concrete.
Gotcha.
Both of these issues can compromise the structural integrity of the concrete.
I can see how that would be a problem. And what about workability?
Workability refers to how easy or difficult it is to place and finish the concrete.
Okay.
Concrete that's too stiff will be difficult to work with, while concrete that's too runny might not hold its shape properly.
So workability is all about finding that Goldilocks zone. Not too stiff, not too runny, but just right.
Exactly. And we discuss how different factors,
Right.
like the water-cement ratio and the type of aggregates used, can affect workability. We also cover the standard tests used to assess workability, like the slump tests.
Ah, yes, the slump test, the one where you fill a cone-shaped mold with concrete and see how much it slumps.
That's the one. It's a simple but effective way to assess the consistency of the concrete mix.
Okay, so Module 2 seems to be all about understanding the potential pitfalls that can happen with concrete and learning how to avoid them. What about those chemical attacks you mentioned?
We cover those in detail in Module 2.1. This is where we get into the really insidious stuff that can happen to concrete over time, even after it's been placed and cured.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about these chemical attacks.
Well, one of the most common ones is sulfate attack.
Okay.
Sulfates are naturally occurring chemicals that can be found in soil and water. When they come into contact with concrete, they can react with the cement and cause expansion, cracking, and weakening of the structure.
So it's like the concrete is slowly being eaten away from the inside out.
In a way, yes.
Yep.
And chloride attack is another common problem, especially in coastal areas or where de-icing salts are used. Chlorides can penetrate the concrete and corrode the steel reinforcement,
Wow.
leading to structural weakness and even failure.
That sounds pretty scary. I'm guessing this module teaches you how to identify and prevent these chemical attacks.
Exactly. We discuss the different types of attacks,
Okay.
their causes, and the preventive measures that can be taken during the design and construction phases. We also cover techniques for repairing concrete that has already been affected by chemical attacks.
This all seems so incredibly important for ensuring the longevity and safety of concrete structures.
It absolutely is. And then we move on to another common problem in Module 2.2, cracks in concrete.
Oh, cracks. I've seen those before, and they always make me a little nervous.
Cracks are a natural part of concrete's behavior, but
Yeah.
not all cracks are created equal. Some cracks are harmless, while others can indicate serious structural problems. In this module, we discuss the different types of cracks, their causes, and how to assess their severity.
So it's about learning to differentiate between the good cracks and the bad cracks.
Precisely. We cover everything from plastic shrinkage cracks that occur while the concrete is still wet,
Okay.
to drying shrinkage cracks that happen as the concrete dries,
Right.
to more serious structural cracks that can indicate overloading or foundation problems.
Wow, there's a whole science to understanding cracks.
There is. And as an inspector, you need to be able to identify the different types of cracks, assess their potential impact on the structure, and recommend appropriate repair measures if necessary.
Okay, so modules 1 and 2 seem to cover a lot of ground, from the basic components of concrete to the potential challenges that can arise. What do modules 3 and 4 focus on?
Modules 3 and 4 shift the focus to concrete reinforcement and testing, which are essential aspects of ensuring the structural integrity of concrete structures.
Okay, let's dive into those in part 3 of our deep dive.
Sounds good. We'll explore those modules and wrap up our journey through the world of concrete inspection. See you soon.
Welcome back to the GCO podcast. We're wrapping up our deep dive into the Concrete Placement Inspector course, and in this final part, we're getting into the real nuts and bolts of concrete construction.
Yeah.
reinforcement and testing. I'm excited to hear more about what modules 3 and 4 have in store for us.
Yeah, these modules are where things get really hands-on, focusing on the elements that give concrete structures their strength and stability.
Yeah.
In Module 3.1, we delve into the world of rebar, those steel bars that are often hidden within concrete.
Rebar. I always think of it as the skeleton inside the concrete muscle.
That's a great analogy. Rebar provides tensile strength to concrete,
Okay.
which is its ability to resist being pulled apart. Without rebar, concrete would be much more susceptible to cracking and failure under stress.
So rebar is basically like concrete's superhero sidekick.
You could say that.
Yeah.
We cover all aspects of rebar in this module. The different types, the grades and specifications, and the importance of proper spacing, lapping, and splicing.
Spacing, lapping, splicing those sound like crucial details for ensuring the rebar is doing its job properly.
Absolutely. Even seemingly small details can have a big impact on the overall strength of the structure.
Right.
We also discuss a major villain in the world of concrete rebar corrosion.
Corrosion. That
Yeah.
sounds like a serious problem.
It can be. When rebar corrodes, it expands, creating pressure within the concrete.
Oh.
That can lead to cracking and spalling.
No.
This not only weakens the structure, but also exposes more rebar to corrosive elements, creating a vicious cycle.
I can see how that would be a major headache for anyone involved in construction.
It is. That's why we dedicate a significant portion of this module to understanding the causes of rebar corrosion and the methods used to prevent it. We cover topics like protective coatings, concrete mix design considerations,
Okay.
and the importance of proper drainage to minimize moisture exposure.
Like a whole battle plan for protecting rebar from the element.
Exactly. And speaking of protection in Module 3.2, we move on to another crucial aspect, concrete formwork.
Formwork, that's the temporary structure that holds the concrete in place while it sets right.
That's right. Think of it as the mold that gives the concrete its shape.
Gotcha.
We discuss the different types of formwork materials,
Okay.
from traditional timber to more modern systems like steel and aluminum.
Okay.
We also covered the design considerations for formwork, including the importance of strength stability and the ability to withstand the pressure of the concrete.
I imagine improper formwork could lead to some disastrous results.
Absolutely. If the formwork fails during concrete placement,
Right.
it can result in uneven surfaces, bulges, or even complete collapse. That's why proper inspection of formwork is critical before, during, and after concrete placement.
So it's not just about building the formwork, it's about making sure it's up to the task.
Exactly. We also discussed the various methods used to remove the formwork once the concrete has hardened,
Okay.
ensuring it's done safely and without damaging the newly formed structure.
Okay, so we've covered rebar and formwork. What about the last section of Module 3?
Module 3.3 gets us into the action of concrete field testing. This is where we learn how to assess the properties of fresh concrete on the construction site.
Sounds like we're finally getting our hands dirty. What kind of field tests are we talking about?
One of the most common ones is the slump test, which we discussed earlier.
Right.
It's a quick and easy way to assess the workability of the concrete mix. We also cover other important tests,
Okay.
like the air content test, which measures the amount of air trapped in the concrete, and the temperature test,
Okay.
which ensures the concrete is within the acceptable temperature range for proper setting.
So field testing is all about making sure the concrete meets the required specifications before it goes into the formwork.
Exactly. It's a crucial step in quality control and helps identify potential problems early on before they become major issues.
And what about Module 4? You mentioned it focuses on test interpretation.
That's right. Module 4 takes us beyond the field and into the lab, where we delve into the analysis and interpretation of test results for both fresh and hardened concrete.
So it's like becoming a concrete detective, analyzing clues to unravel the mysteries of its composition and strength.
You got it. We start by looking at cement testing, interpreting results for fineness setting, time soundness, compressive strength, and chemical composition.
Wow.
We then move on to aggregate testing, analyzing data from tests like the Los Angeles abrasion test, sieve analysis, and the sand equivalent test.
Wow, that's a lot of data to analyze. I'm starting to see why this course is so comprehensive.
It is. And remember, understanding these test results is key to making informed decisions about the concrete's suitability for the project. It allows you to assess whether it meets the required standards and identify potential issues that might need to be addressed.
It's like having a superpower, the ability to see inside the concrete and understand its strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly, and that's not all. Module 4 also covers water quality testing and the analysis of test results for hardened concrete, specifically the compressive strength test, which is one of the most important indicators of concrete structural integrity.
So by the end of Module 4, you're basically a concrete whisperer.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but you definitely have a deep understanding of the science behind concrete and how to assess its quality through testing and analysis.
Now that's impressive. Speaking of impressive, let's move on to Modules 5 and 6, where you get into the actual placement and inspection processes. What can participants expect to learn in these final modules?
Modules 5 and 6 are where we put all the knowledge we've gained into practice, focusing on the practical aspects of concrete placement and inspection.
So,
In Module 5, we explore the different methods of placing concrete, from the traditional manual methods to more advanced techniques like bumping and shotcrete.
okay, remind me again, what exactly is shotcrete?
Shotcrete is a method where concrete is pneumatically projected at high velocity onto a surface. It's often used in applications like tunnels, swimming pools, and slopes where traditional casting methods might not be feasible.
So it's like a high-powered concrete cannon.
You could say that. It's a very versatile method, but it also requires specialized equipment and expertise to ensure proper application.
I can see how that would be the case.
Yeah.
What other placement methods are covered in the course?
We cover a wide range of methods, from simple manual placement using shovels and wheelbarrows
Okay.
to more sophisticated techniques involving concrete pumps for large-scale projects.
Wow.
We discuss the advantages and disadvantages of each method, the safety considerations involved, and the factors that influence the choice of method for a particular project.
It sounds like a comprehensive overview of the concrete placement toolbox.
It is, and it's not just about the methods themselves.
Really?
We also discuss the importance of proper preparation before placement, including site preparation, formwork inspection, and reinforcement placement. Then we move on to the placement process itself, covering topics like concrete handling, consolidation, and finishing.
Consolidation, that's the process of removing air pockets from the concrete, right?
Exactly. Proper consolidation is crucial for ensuring a dense, strong, and durable concrete structure.
Right.
We discuss the different methods of consolidation, including internal vibrators, external vibrators, and even hand tamping for smaller applications.
So it's about making sure the concrete is packed in tightly and evenly.
Precisely. And then we move on to finishing,
Okay.
which involves smoothing and leveling the surface of the concrete to achieve the desired texture and appearance.
Okay.
We cover a variety of finishing techniques, from simple screeding to more decorative finishes like stamping and exposed aggregate.
It sounds like an art form in itself.
It can be. And finally, we wrap up Module 5 with the discussion of curing,
Okay.
which is the process of maintaining proper moisture and temperature conditions for the concrete to allow it to hydrate and gain strength properly. We cover different curing methods, including water curing, covering the concrete with plastic sheeting, and the use of curing compounds.
So curing is like the aftercare for concrete, making sure it reaches its full potential.
Exactly. Proper curing is essential for achieving the desired strength, durability, and longevity of the concrete structure.
Okay.
And then we move on to the grand finale, Module 6, which focuses on the concrete inspection process itself.
This is where it all comes together, right?
Exactly. In this module, we take everything we've learned about concrete,
Right.
its components, its behavior, and the placement process, and apply it to the practical task of inspection. We start by discussing the responsibilities of a concrete inspector, the importance of ethical conduct,
Okay.
and the legal implications of inspection work.
So it's not just about knowing the technical stuff, it's about understanding the professional and ethical aspects of the role as well.
Absolutely. We then delve into the inspection process itself, breaking it down into 3 key phases: pre-placement inspection, during placement inspection, and post-placement inspection.
That makes sense. Each phase probably has its own unique set of challenges and things to look for.
Exactly. We provide detailed checklists and guidance on what to inspect at each stage, how to identify potential problems, and what actions to take if issues arise. We also discuss the importance of clear communication with all parties involved in the project, from the concrete supplier to the contractor to the project owner.
So it's about being a proactive problem solver, not just a passive observer.
Precisely. A good concrete inspector is a valuable asset on any construction project, ensuring quality, safety, and compliance with all relevant standards.
Wow, this CPI course sounds incredibly comprehensive. I can see why it's such a valuable investment for anyone looking to specialize in concrete inspection.
It is, and the best part is that it's all delivered online, so you can learn from anywhere in the world at your own pace.
So for our listeners who are feeling inspired and ready to take the plunge into the fascinating world of concrete, what should they do next?
Head over to gcoportal.com/amagamy to learn more and register for the Concrete Placement Inspector course. It's an investment in your future that will pay off for years to come.
Don't miss out on this opportunity to become a certified concrete expert. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the Concrete Placement Inspector course. We've covered a lot of ground, from the basic science of concrete to the intricacies of placement and inspection.
It's been a journey through the heart of concrete construction, and I hope our listeners have gained a newfound appreciation for this amazing material and the skilled professionals who work with it every day.
I know I have. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time on the GCO podcast.
Until then, keep building.